Good morning and welcome to our 264th step in our walking tour through the Bible. We're going to look at Jeremiah chapter 10. Jeremiah chapter 10 talks about a recurrent theme in the Old Testament. It's a diatribe, if that's the word, against idol worship. Now, this idol worship comes up again and again and again. And so let's talk about idol worship. Well, Jeremiah's approach is it doesn't make sense. What he does is he attacks the idol worshippers for their stupidity. He says, do not learn the way of the nations, the idol worshippers, or take alarm at heavenly signs, alarmed though the nations may be at them. The heavenly signs, don't bother about eclipses and things like that. Don't forget, it was the Babylonians who were the first people to really take eclipses seriously, and also the ancient Chinese. Yes, the customs of the peoples are quite futile. Wood, nothing more, cut out of a forest, worked with a blade by a carver's hand, then embellished with silver and gold, and then fastened with hammers and nails to keep it from moving. Like scarecrows on a melon patch, they cannot talk. They have to be carried since they cannot walk. Have no fear of them, they can do no harm, nor any good either. So Jeremiah says the objects of their worship are idols, and these idols are pieces of wood decorated with silver and gold, which cannot do any good or any harm, and it's completely futile. Later on, he describes them as the futile ones in verse 8, the gods of the nations, which aren't gods at all, they're just pieces of woods. So Jeremiah's position is the gods that they are worshipping are not gods, they're objects, they're nothing at all. And it says of the wise men of the foreign nations, and here we have it in verse 8, all of them are brutish and stupid. And that essentially is Jeremiah's criticism. Idols don't exist, or idols are physically what they seem to be and nothing more. And the people who worship idols are brutish and stupid. By contrast, the people of Israel are called to worship the one true God who made the heavens and so on and so forth. That is not stupid. That is what the wise do. Okay, now, first of all, I'm a little bit, as liberal people love to say, uncomfortable with this. First of all, calling your opponent stupid is not necessarily the best tactic. It just cheeses them off and makes them angry. Amazingly, the modern atheists of our own age don't seem to have cottoned on to this. Quite often, they assume that all religious people are stupid, and they tell us we're stupid. But of course, we know we're not stupid. Some of us are educated, some of us went to top universities, and so on. And therefore, them telling us stupid, well, it doesn't make much impact. It certainly doesn't dent our faith in God. Faith is not stupid. These people who are worshipping the idols, the people of the nations, are they all stupid? Well, it probably not is the answer. They're probably as averagely intelligent or not as the people of Israel. The other thing is, do they realize their idols are purely objects of wood that can't move and so on and so forth? Well, of course they understand that. They understand that the idol is an object. They must do, because they can look at it. They've got the evidence of their eyes. So what are they worshipping? Are they in fact worshipping a piece of wood? Yes and no. They're worshipping what the piece of wood represents. They're worshipping what the piece of wood points them towards, which presumably is in the heavens. It does talk about the signs in the heavens and so on and so forth. There are people who crouch down before an effigy of Baal, worship God, the god of storms, Baal, and they also regard the idol of Baal, which they have in front of them, as a sacred object. In fact, you could say a fetish. That is to say, an object that, if it's with them, somehow guarantees their protection. A lucky charm, in other words. The idol is sacred. What made the idol sacred? Well, maybe it's very old, but the idol is sacred because of the honor and the worship paid to it. And the sacred nature of the idol guarantees the safety of those who are worshipping the idol. I think that's how it works. That is how I assume it works. The cult object is our guarantee from the gods above, or their guarantee from the gods above, that all things will be, well, not well, but not totally disastrous either. You remember I talked in the previous thing about the luck of Troy. That too was a cult object, a lucky charm. You may remember in I Claudius by Robert Graves that as long as Germanicus had the statue of Hecate under his pillow, he knew he couldn't die. But of course, one day he discovers it's been stolen by the infant Caligula, no less, and he despairs and he dies. Lucky charms are, of course, against the virtue of religion. We're against, as Christians and Catholics, lucky charms. We're against fetish objects. We're against this idea of an object being some sort of guarantee from a higher power that all things will be well. Now, I think, therefore, that the prophet Jeremiah, no disrespect to him, as they say nowadays, has slightly misfires on this. Well, the people have taken to idol worship because of what? Why have they taken to idol worship? They've taken to idol worship because of fear, fear of the world, fear that the world is a deeply hostile place, fear that they need an amulet or an idol or a something or another to protect them. They have taken to worshipping idols because they see the world as at the mercy of powers that are way beyond them. They see Baal, and it's always Baal, isn't it? He sort of stands in for all the pagan gods, the god of storms, as essentially a malign force who must be propitiated. Now, what about us? Are we idol worshippers? Well, no, of course, we're not idol worshippers. Therefore, we can sort of say, oh, chapter 10 of Jeremiah doesn't concern me. Except it does concern us. He talks about the goldsmith. It's God, he says, who thunders in the heavens. It's God who is the Lord of storms, not Baal. And he says, at this, at the signs of God in the heavens, all people stand stupefied, uncomprehending. Every goldsmith blushes for his idols. His castings are but delusion, with no breath in them. They're futile, a laughable production. Well, we too have objects that we have idolized, which we think protect us from the world. The most obvious things are clothes. And our clothes, to some extent, do protect us from the world. So if it's a cold day, you wrap up well and you're protected from the world. And we love our clothes. We have a whole industry devoted to clothes, to fashion. It's not just any old clothes that will do. No, it has to be the right clothes. We idolize clothes. We idolize shoes. I remember once being in Rome with two young ladies, and I said, come on, keep walking. And they said, no, we will not walk a moment further. We have to look at this shop window. It was Ferragamo and lots of shoes on. And they said, we're not moving any further. Nothing, not even you, can drag us away from this. And they paid homage to the shoes of Ferragamo. Bags. Don't get me started. I don't know why some people are so obsessed with shoes and bags, but some people are. But, it's not just women, it's men as well. The idea of clothes, the idea of looking good, the idea somehow or another, of course, one of the reasons we love clothes is because we feel our clothes will insulate us and protect us, like a suit of armor, against any sort of form of criticism. They'll make us look good. Oh, you look good in that dress. Oh, you look great in that jacket. In other words, you'll be able to present a face to the world. You'll be able to go into the hostile environment of the world. Your clothes will protect you. Oh, did you see that lovely jacket she was wearing? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was good, wasn't it? Clothes. The other thing, of course, is obviously, to talk of gold and silver, money. Have you got money in the bank? Don't worry, dear. It doesn't matter the fact that our house has been struck by lightning. We've got an insurance policy. We've got somebody will pay out. Or, oh, it doesn't matter the fact that, I might lose my job. I've got £1,000,000 in the bank. I've got £100,000 in the bank. I've got £10,000 in the bank. Whatever it is. It's nice to have money in the bank because it is we call it a cushion, don't we? And we say, well, so and so needs such and such amount of money, so she has a soft landing when they lose their job or something like that. We idolize money. So I think idol worship rests on two fundamental mistakes. One, the world is a hostile environment. Two, we can take out an insurance policy or we can seek protection against the hostile environment. First of all, we need to correct this by faith. And the faith, one of the objects of our faith is the world is created by God. God is good, and God made the world, and he saw that it was good, the very first chapter of the Bible. So in faith, we believe that the world is good. Now, that faith can be quite difficult. When the doctor tells you that you've got incurable cancer, it can be quite hard to believe that the world is good and everything in the world conspires for the good of those who love God. How you get around that, I could go into it, but I don't really have time because we've already got to over 11 minutes of this video. The second thing we need to do in our faith is trust in God. God loves us and he will look after us. And I think the great inspiring example is St. Francis of Assisi, who stripped off his clothes, handed them back to his father and said, look, I don't need anything like that. I have the love of God. And of course, his father was appalled because the father had worked and scrimped and saved and become a great merchant, and he had a position in society. And St. Francis says, I don't need a position in society. I don't need your clothes. I don't need your protection. And you remember the blessed Carlo Acutis actually said to his mother, I don't need two pairs of shoes. One pair of shoes will do. If only I'd known that when those two young ladies stopped at the Ferragamo window in Rome. Okay, all the very best. Bye.